Hey, let's go to Bob Holt. He's joining us here on halftime. Bob, how you doing today, man? You get. I know you're indoors, but you ready to get wet?
Well, hopefully my roof won't leak. But the way you guys are talking, I feel like I need to hop in my car and drive to Minnesota or something.
Hey, you always got to be prepared, Bob.
That's true.
Hire someone to do it,
and a
please.
backup plan.
Yeah, that's right. This is a smart man. You always come with contingencies. It's no surprise that the guy who's got a backup question to his backup question at press conferences has a backup plan for his backup plan. These things go together. Bob, let me ask you a quick question about trying to take what happened yesterday with the NBA and what's happening today. Players standing up, boycotting to make their voices heard, really through one really large megaphone. And I wonder if you think that if there's another incident like what happened Sunday in Kenosha, if something like this happens during the college football season, I think student athletes feel much more empowered socially, politically than maybe ever before. Could you see a situation where a college football team or a college basketball team boycotts a game like we saw yesterday in the NBA?
It's possible. Like you said, I think, players are feeling more empowered. I was reminded of this yesterday. I think it was in 2015, the Missouri football team basically threatened to boycott. I think it was the BYU game, but there was a student in Missouri that was on a hunger strike because he felt like there'd been some, discriminatory things happen, racist things happen on the Missouri campus, and it hadn't been addressed by the administration. He was on a hunger strike, and so the football team supported him, basically said, I think they didn't practice for a day or so, and they basically said, we're not going to play in the game. And the chancellor, if I remember correctly, ended up resigning over it. Now, that was a tipping point probably, but so that was a rare occurrence of student athletes maybe flexing their muscles or making their voice heard. And, of course, 5 years ago, it was a different time. There's unfortunately been I don't know if there's been more incidents happen, but there's more of them coming to light. And you kind of wonder what would happen if people didn't have, the capability of filming things with their phones or whatever. But, yeah, that would be interesting to see what would happen. I know there's a lot of frustration, a lot of anger. And you kind of wonder what's it going to take to get these things to stop. I hate to say it. I don't know if pro or college athletes, boycotting will bring about change. I hope it would with what's going on. But I definitely understand the athletes saying, well, I don't feel like playing. I'm upset about this and I'm distraught and my heart's not in the game right now. I definitely get that. And maybe if the owners, obviously the owners have big hammers, in their towns and states, and maybe if they wield that hammer and put a lot of money behind it to get some programs going, or maybe make some threats, maybe that can help change things.
All right, well, let's get to some of the stuff you were writing about in the Democrat this morning, and it's perfect timing because everybody feels really good about who you got at running back, wide receivers, quarterback, tight end. Don't have a lot of depth at tight end, but at least if Hudson Henry's able to get back to practice and play this year, you should be pretty good. It's all about the offensive line. If this offense can have any success, the offensive line has to be much better than last year. So let me ask here. I see that Dalton Wagner, who was at right tackle for just about every game last year, wasn't practicing with the first or second teams, but as in individual drills. Do you know what's going on with him?
I really don't. I should preface this by saying I have not been out to practice. We're limited to one reporter per media outlet. Tom Murphy's our beat guy. He does a great job. He knows about a million more things about football than I do. He played in high school. He does a much better job of picking up things. So I can't speak from personal experience. My guess, and this is just a guess, is that maybe Dalton has a minor injury of some kind, or they're holding him out of some things. My guess is he would be in there fighting for a starting job. He might well start against Georgia. But I think the fact that they're, giving Ricky Stromberg a shot at center where, Ty Clary's had a bunch of starts and they're doing some different things. Of course, Noel Gatlin might have been a starter last year if he hadn't gotten hurt. And, Luke Jones is getting a shot in there. So, any offensive line coach will tell you, and Sam, long-time offensive line coach Sam Pittman will say this, they're looking to get the best 5 guys out there, whatever combination that may be. And then they're trying to build more. And depth's really more important than ever. Gus Malzahn said this the other day. They're looking to go 3 deep on the line because with COVID, you never know when somebody might get sick, have to be quarantined, might have to miss a game, might have to miss a couple games. So, they're trying to go over at Auburn. They're trying to build 3 deep, and I'm sure Arkansas would love to do that too. But you gotta walk before you can run. Right now, they probably need to get 2 deep. But I think it's interesting, and probably speaks well that they're creating more competition at that spot for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. I want to ask. It's been a really interesting few months here for Luke Jones. The transfer from Notre Dame, who didn't play last year. And had his scholarship pulled, if I remember correctly, maybe like half a year ago, had that scholarship reinstated recently. Now he's practicing with the first team at left guard. Sam Pittman had a lot of really good things to say about Luke Jones. And it seems like right now he's front line for starting at left guard.
Yeah, I think he basically came here as a walk-on with the idea he'd get a scholarship, and they did put him on scholarship. But yeah, he's put on. He's like, I don't know what he weighed like at Notre Dame, but he's up to almost 300. If you go by what's listed, and that may fluctuate a little bit. But hopefully, it's pretty accurate. And yeah, Sam spoke very highly of him about his intelligence, his ability to play guard and center. They obviously want to double, sometimes even triple train guys. Maybe they can play both guard spots and center. Maybe they can play a tackle spot. Frank Ragnow was a guy that probably could play anywhere on the line. With his height, ideally, he wouldn't have been a tackle, but I'm sure he could have been a good one anyway. So you're trying to get, and it may be that maybe this guy is your best left guard, but maybe if you put him at right guard and put somebody else in the left guard, that's your best 5-man line. So you want to try guys at different spots, and we got to remember we're still a month out from playing Arkansas, still a month out from playing Georgia. We're a month out from having that opener, and all the SEC openers. And so, they've got a lot of time to mix and match and kind of see who can do what. So, the offensive line is usually a pretty fluid situation. What's going on one week might change the next week.
Speaking to Bob Holt here on Halftime, Bob, which group this season do you see making the most improvements as the season progresses, on the offensive line or the defensive line?
Well, the defensive line's they lost some really, really good players. I mean, obviously McTelvin Agim was a 3rd-round pick by the Broncos and signed a nice contract, I think, the other day. So they lost some other good guys. Dorian Gerald, he was a starter last year for that opener, and then unfortunately had to miss the rest of the season. He's back, apparently feeling pretty good. We got to talk to him the other day. Judas Coates' JUCO transfer is getting rave reviews. And then they got, Xavier Kelly's a transfer from Clemson. He didn't play a whole lot of Clemson, but anybody who was good enough to be on scholarship at Clemson, at defensive line, that's a pretty good player. So I think that was a great pickup. So I think the line, even though they lost I think they lost 3 starters, that could be pretty good. But I think the offensive line has a lot of room for growth because they've got experience there. They've got some decent numbers. I think the fact, I know Brad Davis has been out a little bit, but he should be back. He's a veteran line coach. Sam Pittman, he's the head coach, obviously, but he's not going to coach the line. But it certainly doesn't hurt to have him on there. So I think the offensive line could have a lot of room for development, just because I think the talent's there. They just got to find the right group. Got to stay healthy. That always is a big key. But I think they've got a really strong coaching staff. And they do on defense too. I mean, they've got a lot of good SEC experience on this staff that I really like.
We posed this question just a moment ago and asked our listeners. I want to get your feedback too. And we've spoke a lot recently just about Rakeem Boyd and Felipe Franks, and arguably probably the 2 faces of this team this year. Who is more critical, in your opinion, for the success of the Razorbacks this season? Is it Felipe Franks or is it Rakeem Boyd?
Man, that's a tough question. I'd say Rakeem Boyd is the best player on the team. That might prove to be wrong. Maybe somebody else will emerge. But all due respect to Rakeem or any running back, I think I'd have to go with Felipe Franks, mainly because, he's playing that all-important quarterback position. And he should be, unless they're in a wildcat or something, he's going to be touching the ball every snap. And that's been such an unstable position for Arkansas. 5 starters last year, 5 in the last 5 games alone. They couldn't settle on a quarterback the year before, really. 7 different guys start for him, I think, the last 2 years. So I think it's really, really crucial that Felipe Franks brings some stability to that position and, be a guy that can make plays in the passing game, make good audibles, be able to call out the signals. Rakeem's a great player, and he's going to make, if he stays healthy, he'll make a lot of big plays. But I just think, Franks at that quarterback position, I think he's got to be the number one key right now.
Real quick before we let you go, and Phil, this just came across the wire from Twitter. The Razorbacks have just announced their 2020 Hall of Honor inductees, and it said all-star lineup. You had Corey Beck, John Brittenham, Ralph Krause from the baseball team, Amanda McCurdy from women's golf, Ken Turner from football, and the one and only Darren McFadden making his way into the Hall of Honor for the Razorbacks. Bob, that just initially that's a pretty strong Hall of Honor getting inducted in this coming year.
Yeah, obviously Darren is arguably the best football player Arkansas has ever had. You can argue he's the best athlete they've ever had. I'd probably go with Mike Conley on there, Mike Conley Sr., gold medal winner. But, Darren, is a big-time player. Corey Beck was kind of the heart and soul of that 94 championship team as their point guard, defensive catalyst, tougher than nails. Ralph Krause, if you don't remember, he had a big home run when they first got lights at Old George Schofield, and they actually had the Southwest Conference tournament there. And I may be getting my games mixed up. I think Ralph hit a big home run to beat Texas in the Southwest Conference tournament. Maybe Phil remembers that back in the days, I think, at 85. And, Amanda McCurdy, I was just reading up something on her in our archives. She finished second in the U.S. Amateur one year. And I can't remember. Oh, Ken Turner, great coach, a real kicking guru. And he coached the tight ends and some offensive line. Ken's a great guy. And I can't remember if there was somebody else in there. But that's a very, very stellar group.
Bob, I think the first ever Major League no-hitter caught by a Razorback happened 2 days ago. James McCann. I know he came close to catching one with the Tigers, 3 outs away, catching Verlander once. But how about that? I mean, Pagnozzi confirmed to Clay Henry that he had never caught a no-hitter in the big league. So that's pretty cool. McCann's really, he's hitting 340. Last 2 seasons now, he's turned himself into a legitimate offensive threat. What do you think about the idea of James McCann right now being the best position player in the majors of any Razorback currently?
Yeah, James is really, I'm happy for him. I wish he was still a Tiger, but, I will say this, I wouldn't rip the Tigers for letting James go a couple years ago because the Tigers were terrible, and if they'd been a contender, I don't think they would have let James go because he's an excellent defensive catcher. He had struggled at the plate. He had a lot of strikeouts, but he was excellent defensive catcher. He still is. Great clubhouse guy, really handles the pitchers well. But, the Tigers are like, well, we can lose 100 games with James. We can lose 100 games without him. We can pay a catcher, $500,000. We can pay a catcher a couple million. So they let James go just because the organization was in a total rebuild. And so I hate to see James leave Detroit. I was happy for him because the White Sox are quite a bit farther ahead than the Tigers in their rebuild. And really, the White Sox, the way they're playing right now, they look like they could win the World Series. Hopefully there will be a World Series and the playoffs and everything. And he was an all-star last year. He figured some things out at the plate. He's hitting well. It's great that him and Dallas Keuchel are a battery again. And, I'm really happy for James. And, I'm thinking about, the position players that he definitely, because James is whatever he's hitting, he's a premium defensive catcher. And if he's hitting, that's a great bonus. And if he's hitting over 300, that's a really great bonus. So
you're right.
Happy for James that he's doing so well.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it, man. Always fun talking.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Good rest of the week.
Okay, you guys take care and stay dry, I guess. Oh, well,
we'll try our
here.
best.
We're going to be okay. We got the high ground up here in Fayetteville.
That's a good point. It's a good point. We are the high point of the state. It's a very good point. I mean, think about this here. Benintendi is struggling badly. Logan Forsythe is hitting about 100. Brian Anderson had a hot start, but he's been in the low 200s. Am I missing any other position players from Arkansas that are in the big leagues right now? Honestly, McCann right now is the guy amongst all of them. And he and Keuchel are on fire, the two of them. Keuchel beat the Pirates yesterday. That's 3 straight wins. And I agree with Bob. I've been saying this for the last few weeks. The Chicago White Sox, now, I'm not saying they're going to win the World Series, but I think that's a front-running team. Come back after the break, wrap up the first hour, 877-377-6963 to get with us.